Bruce Willis transcended the boundaries of mere performer status to forge an indelible mythic presence, manifesting as invincible custodians who eradicated wickedness across cinematic eras with a rugged, masculine smirk that became his signature. Yet this mastermind behind countless cherished recollections for untold millions now relinquishes his own memories while entangled in a profoundly dire predicament, extending gradual farewells as we delve into his profoundly wrenching narrative. In March 2022, the Willis clan unleashed a staggering revelation. Bruce had been afflicted with aphasia, a merciless neurological affliction that assaults communicative faculties, rendering his attempts at speech futile as words evade him despite crystal-clear mental intent trapped within cerebral confines. The situation deteriorated further by February 2023 when the family disclosed the comprehensive diagnosis of frontotemporal dementia, colloquially known as FTD, signifying not merely the erosion of vocabulary, but the agonizing wholesale disintegration of his very identity, an incurable malady impervious to deceleration, consigning loved ones to the harrowing role of passive observers to his inexorable decline, with depths of torment yet to be fully illuminated. On December 5, 2024, Demi Moore, his former spouse, disseminated what was intended as a reassuring update declaring Bruce in a stable condition. Yet this proclamation failed to instill tranquility, subtly hinting at prior phases of volatility and uncontrollability. By then, Bruce could no longer formulate complete sentences, struggled immensely with reading, and unconfirmed accounts indicated severe limitations in walking or engaging in any physically demanding activity, a stark reversal for the icon who once executed his own daring stunts, now reduced to grappling with fundamental mobility as kin and confidants endure the daily spectacle of escalating degeneration. His current wife, Emma Heming Willis, articulated the terror of witnessing his linguistic transformation, pinpointing its insidious onset when what appeared as a resurgence of his childhood stutter masked the true harbinger, a misinterpretation that raises poignant hypotheticals. If discerned earlier, might his health trajectory have altered, or was his gradual fade inexorably destined? Compounding the anguish, Emma disclosed the devastating possibility that Bruce remains unaware of his own deteriorating state, suspended in a nebulous realm between comprehension and oblivion. Yet amidst this ordeal, she steadfastly engineers pockets of joy and solace in these shadowed times, exemplifying a devotion that endures beyond prosperous days. Emma, at 46 years of age and married to Bruce since 2009, shares two young daughters, Mabel aged 12 and Evelyn aged 10, making her August 2025 resolution to relocate Bruce to a secondary residence equipped with perpetual professional caregivers a heart-rending choice that ignited widespread online controversy and accusations of sophisticated abandonment. Though she insisted this aligned with Bruce's presumed wishes to prioritize a home environment attuned to the girl's developmental needs over his medical exigencies, a decision complicated by his potential lack of awareness, trapping her in a profound dilemma between spousal consolation in twilight and maternal guardianship of her children's future, evolving her role into that of a care partner, as she terms it, profoundly conflicted while observing her daughters mourn a living father, potentially displacing him to shield them from further trauma as he overlooks birthdays, regards school performances as unfamiliar, and forfeits emotional bonds, instilling fears of enduring psychological repercussions on the youngsters and straining Emma's capacity to maintain familial equilibrium amid accusations of seeking an expedient escape, only for her to counter on July 26, 2025, imploring the public to disregard anonymous conjecture as reckless and detrimental, emphasizing the labyrinthine reality far surpassing simplistic desertion narratives. Bruce's elder daughter, Tallulah Willis, born of his union with Demi Moore, candidly recounted her pre-diagnosis turmoil, mistaking his unresponsiveness for waning paternal affection rather than symptomatic of the ailment, a conclusion laced with potential regret that propelled her toward public advocacy on the imperative of open dialogue, now manifesting in heightened familial presence mirrored by her siblings and Demi herself, who remains intricately woven into gatherings, sharing social media. Glimpses of unity, culminating in a collective celebration of Bruce's 70th birthday that decisively refutes notions of isolation. Anomalies were not confined to domestic circles. In the quadrennium preceding diagnosis from 2018 to 2022, Bruce featured in an astonishing 22 motion pictures, predominantly low-budget direct-to-video endeavors, where his marquee value alone ensured viability, reportedly commanding $2 million for mere two-day commitments amid evident overexertion that set personnel noticed profound irregularities. During January 2020 filming of Hard Kill in Cincinnati, co-star Lala Kent enacted a high-tension rescue sequence as Bruce's on-screen daughter, requiring him to approach stealthily, deliver a precise line, await her duck, then discharge a prop firearm at the antagonist. Yet he prematurely fired on the initial take unbeknownst to Kent, prompting resets and repeated early detonations, with crew insiders later revealing stringent precautions to clear firing paths whenever he handled weaponry. A sobering protocol in the post-Rust era of heightened prop safety awareness, underscoring how the action luminary whose career pivoted on such sequences could no longer be entrusted with even simulated arms, compounded by his inability to grasp dialogue significance, leading compassionate crew to devise strategies concealing his deficits, bluntly describing him as puppet, in a damning indictment of his reduced agency while the production persisted. September 2020 on Midnight in the Switchgrass under director Randall Emmett saw Bruce falter at the ostensibly rudimentary task of breaching a door, a maneuver he had perfected hundreds of times, failing across innumerable takes due to incomprehension of directives, necessitating earpiece-fed lines as memory lapsed, with stunt coordinators and Emmett's physical demonstrations proving futile, culminating in the director's frustrated exit leaving Bruce bewildered, followed by reportedly tearful phone calls to then-fiancée Lala Kent lamenting Bruce's disorientation and line amnesia, while prop master Alicia Haviland confirmed his health woes as an unabashed open secret, yet filming rolled onward. This pattern echoed into 2021's Out of Death, where director Mike Burns preemptively emailed his screenwriter urging dialogue reduction for Bruce, only to confront graver concerns post-commencement, yet proceeding without intervention, propelling him into further projects. April 2021's White Elephant reunited him with erstwhile stunt collaborator turned director Jesse V. Johnson, who noted a stark deviation from the vigorous figure of yore, with production supervisor Terry Martin recounting Bruce's lost yet valiant pledges to excel, the most eerie recollection from two crew members being Bruce's on-set query: "I know why you're here, and I know why you're here, but why am I here?" A poignant admission of existential disconnection raising exploitation alarms within the unforgiving entertainment vortex, where studies indicate tripled mental health afflictions owing to fiscal precarity, erratic schedules, and job transients fostering depression. Yet a more nefarious dynamic positioned Willis as a lucrative asset, transmuting modest $2 million budgets into gains, with directors, crew, and producers cognizant of his impairments, yet perpetuating his casting, exemplified by Emmett's repeated collaborations despite awareness, as former assistant Anna Samansa exposed fiscal motivations behind discussions of additional Bruce Willis movies, countered by Emmett's vehement denials of exploitation, ignorance of any headsick condition, assertions of Bruce's perennial vivacity, on-set enjoyment, golf outings, dinners, and voluntary participation as a close confidant, leaving veracity contested between accounts. Following Out of Death, Burns vowed no future engagements and welcomed the announced hiatus, unaware of its permanence. Mirrored by Johnson's post-White Elephant resolve amid discomfort as others filmed unabated, prompting scrutiny of why intimates like Emma and elder daughters permitted prolonged labor. Pecuniary imperatives, Bruce's intrinsic drive, or industry's predatory extraction from a waning luminary, or an amalgam. Undeniably, relentless toil proved deleterious, though not ideologically causative of FDD. 40% hereditary, 60% spontaneous. Chronic stress and overexertion unequivocally exacerbate cerebral vulnerability, echoing Emma's disclosures of enduring die-hard-induced auditory impairments from pyrotechnics, encapsulating 4 decades of explosive, acrobatic, intensity-sustaining action cinema that colleagues affirmed he adored, yet at what insidious expense? Empirical evidence links persistent stress to hastened cognitive erosion via performative pressures, punishing timetables, and corporeal demands accumulating inexorably, rendering Willis, the brand, the commodity, the production linchpin, ineligible for premature exit until fatefully querying his presence on set. Paradoxically, even amid neural decay precluding line retention or contextual grasp, camera activation summoned the archetypal Willis, the consummate professional instantaneously morphing into the requisite savior, until filming ceased irrevocably, bequeathing him an untreatable, non-mitigable, irreversible pathology rarer than Alzheimer's, thus under-researched. Save a nascent hope from University of Sheffield's March 2023 Science Translational Medicine publication on a prospective nasal spray. For select FDD variants, human trials remote, ineligible for Bruce, yet potentially preventive for gene-carrying daughters. At 70, his state deemed stable implies neither rapid deterioration nor amelioration, languishing in a grievous interstitial where substantial losses coexist with remnants. Emma persists as principal care partner, facilitating Mabel and Evelyn's routine visits to the auxiliary domicile, while Demi, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah maintain unwavering involvement despite the excruciating grief and horror of gradual erasure. The core narrative, obscured by sensationalism, eschews abandonment for familial heroism in insurmountable circumstances, espouses agonizing bifurcation between medically optimized domicile and unscarred childhood, daughter's anticipatory bereavement of an extant yet unfamiliar father, and ex-wife's voluntary continuity at repasts and festivities per Bruce's ethos, and Willis himself, lifelong purveyor of heroic illusions, imparting profounder wisdom on love's perpetuity amid unrecognizable alteration, concurrently a mortality chronicle with diagnosis, igniting an indeterminate countdown to cessation. Are we prepared for this protracted, torturous valediction? Voice vanishing foremost, then cognition, locomotion, ultimately self-awareness? As devotees, we absorb lessons, champion augmented FDD inquiry, bolster the Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration, foster candid cognitive health discourses on overlooked omens, and perhaps compel Hollywood towards superior actor safeguards, on-set health transparency, and ethical cessation when impairment manifests. For Willis joins predecessors like Rita Hayworth, Robin Williams, Charlton Heston, and Wendy Williams, not mere luminaries but mortals bestowing elation, mirth, thrill, and muse, meriting dignity, tranquility, and autonomous ado over manipulated final remunerations. Bruce Willis bestowed decadal enchantment. Reciprocity demands awareness amplification, research sustenance, and perpetual recognition that beneath headlines resides authentic humanity, kinship, and calamity warranting empathy. Repose serenely, John McClane, you merited it.